Thank you, thank you. So we're here for Facebook marketing, right? So everybody's in the right spot? Nod, yeah. Okay, so obviously we're doing social media. So first thing we got to do, selfie. All right, everybody. Here we go, okay. 1, 2, 3, smile, say hi.
Hi.
All right, we'll post that later. And maybe I'll retouch it myself a little bit too. So, you know, you got a little bit of understanding from what my past and my history was. A lot of those names and a lot of those brands were bigger brands. And so what my intention was really taking a lot of the knowledge from working with all those big brands across a lot of different industries and kind of bringing it over to nonprofits, startups in the area, small businesses, and really to not just work on those businesses, but also educate the people who are running those businesses, right? So purpose today is really to kind of do that. And we're going to focus on specifically on Facebook marketing. Now, there's a lot of things we could talk about within Facebook. So we could talk about organic, but we're really going to talk about paid today because that is a big piece of it. And I think while it's not necessarily underutilized by small business, I think small business runs into obstacles when using Facebook for a paid marketing service in order to be able to get a return out of it. So today we're pretty much going to talk about should a small business actually be running Facebook marketing? By our time slot for about an hour and a half, you could kind of guess the answer to that. Not to be a short presentation. How do you do it? So what are some of the things we need to keep in mind as building it? And then also, I'm actually going to build a campaign for you. So you could actually see a campaign being built. So I'm going to go off a PowerPoint. I know, a little scary for me too. But I'm going to go off a PowerPoint and we're actually going to build a campaign and kind of look through some of the different options that we have while we build it. So it's a little bit, you'll see all the complication behind that. And then finally, we'll kind of talk about a couple of things to avoid. I'll probably mention a few of them as we're talking, but I'm also going to kind of wrap up with kind of my top 5 things to look out for and avoid. So when we go back up to should a small business use Facebook marketing, one of the things we have to go back and look at is traditional marketing. So traditional marketing, there's kind of 5 things that are obstacles for small business to get into traditional marketing. First off, they're expensive. If you're doing anything with traditional marketing, radio, TV, even direct mail, things of that nature, it gets expensive because you have to commit either for a longer period of time or for a large print run, things of that nature, in order to get any efficiency out of your dollars. Right? If you're going to run a week-long TV flight or a month-long TV flight, it's going to be much more expensive than if you committed to running 6 months of TV. It just is. There's an economy of scale that you have to reach. So a lot of small businesses don't run a lot of traditional things like TV. You don't see a lot of local spots anymore on TV. It's hard to change. Going back to what I just said about the expense, you just made a 6-month commitment to TV. What if you don't feel 3 months in that it's working? You're committed to it, or you're breaking a contract and having to pay back the difference in the rates because you got a better rate for committing to a longer time. The creative is still hard to change. You want to go out and shoot another TV commercial? You want to change that magazine ad, but when it's already printed, 3 weeks ahead of time? There's a lot of different things that kind of go into changing things in traditional media that just take a longer time than we as small business owners really enjoy because we might shift goals right away. It's one-way communication as well, right? Like right now, we're having a dialogue. If you guys wanted to chime in with a question, you could raise your hand and we could answer it here on the spot. But if you're listening to a radio ad, you're not able to do that. You might go home, look up a number, call somebody and try to get an answer, but you took so many other steps in order to drive that engagement versus something like digital. It's hard to measure. So a lot of times with broadcast or any of those traditional means, you're basing it off of some demographic numbers, you're basing it off of viewerships that they're telling you, but it's like, how often are you getting that information? It's not real time, and how are those numbers kind of manipulated over the course of what they're reporting back, right? And you don't actively get to see those numbers. They just come to you whenever you need them. And then finally, it's wasteful. So a lot of times with something like traditional marketing, you're reaching a mass audience. And only a small sliver of that audience may actually be interested in the product that you're selling in the first place. So you are now spending a lot more money to have an object that you may not be able to shift as quickly as you want to. And then you're also not really sure how to measure it. And you're talking to a small percentage of the people who are paying attention to that medium. When you look at digital marketing, and more specifically social media marketing, they've tried to solve a lot of those things. It's more affordable. We could start a Facebook campaign right now for $100. Now, is it going to get you the results you want? Depends. Maybe. Not saying no, but you just have to make sure you're building it the right way. It's flexible. I could pause that campaign and start another one right now. Right? I could change my goals immediately. I could change the messaging that I'm sending out there if I'm not seeing it work. I could do shifts even away from social media marketing altogether and just say, you know what, this isn't working, I'm going to drop that and I'm going to take something else up. I have that flexibility to be able to change something quickly. It's two-way, so that way if somebody has that question, they don't have to leave your advertising medium in order to ask that question. I had a gentleman ask me for this session, he posted a question saying, hey, I bought a ticket, it says it's downtown. I'm like, no, it's actually up in 4 points, just FYI. But we were able to have that dialogue immediately from when he saw the ad and he got his ticket and he asked that question, versus if it was traditional media, he may have to like, oh my God, I have no idea who to ask, right? Measurable. Digital marketing, specifically Facebook marketing, is really good at measuring results. And there's ways to even check those results with tools like Google Analytics to make sure that if you're driving certain actions, that those actions are happening. And you get to see the reporting in real time, so you're able to see how much money is being spent, what my results are, what my cost per result is, so on and so forth. So it's actually really, really good measurement tools there. And then it's highly targeted, which is going to be kind of majority of what we talk about today, is really target the right people for your messaging. And what I mean by that is, we'll go through specific examples, but I don't want to talk to every single person in this room about buying a chair. There may only be a certain amount of people in here who are like, I just opened my new business, I need to buy some chairs for my offices, and so those are the people I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to everyone. I want to talk to the people who have the interest to buy the product that I'm selling. Does that make sense? Okay. So Facebook, let's look at like kind of how wide the Facebook audience is now. So this was as of last week. They just had their investors report. So Facebook is now 2.4 billion people that are active on it every month. And that's worldwide, right? If you look at the US, it's about 200, I want to say, I always mess this number up, 240 to 260 million people a month. And you're like, all right, that's just a small segment of 2.4 billion. There's only like 290 million people that are age 15 or over in the US and Canada. So 80% of people are active on Facebook a month. It is, it's pretty insane. And 1.6 billion of them are active every single day. So it's a huge amount of people that are active on Facebook. And then if we look at Instagram, and Instagram, for those of you who don't know, is owned by Facebook. Instagram is the next Facebook. And Instagram's already at 1 billion people monthly. They're at 500 million on a daily, and this number is growing extremely quickly. They're growing much faster, obviously, than Facebook. Facebook's starting to plateau. Instagram is the next Facebook. Okay. So does this kind of image look like anybody's home on a nightly basis? Yeah. Right? You kind of may have something on, then you're kind of flipping through Facebook. So what's interesting about like advertising on a traditional medium is that there's distractions all around you. But when you're on social media, you're not scrolling like this, right? I am actively engaged in it. I may not like what I'm seeing, I might scroll past it, but I am staring at it, scrolling. So it's your job to stop me, to take an action, right? But am I watching that hockey game? Am I watching Game of Thrones and the coffee cup that's in the corner that everybody's going crazy about? Maybe, but I might also take a commercial break and flip through my phone, right? So, but how many of y'all are on Facebook? Just quick show of hands. Like your businesses are on Facebook, right? Everybody in here, looks like just about everybody's business is on Facebook. Now, you're making strong efforts to post. You're making all the, things you should be doing in order to just kind of engage the people who are liking you now. Some people are kind of like, maybe I'm not. But, that's all organic posts, right? That's the free content that you're putting up on Facebook. And that's really good to a certain point, but, and it's a pretty big but, but Facebook is a pay-to-play market. It is. It's unfortunate, but it is. You can post organic, and by the way, I'm not telling you not to, because it is very important to post organic. But if you look at a lot of the engagement statistics now, you'll see that over the last few years, the range and the reach that your posts are getting are dwindling. Now people are getting about 1 to 2% of their posts seen by their fans. Not by Facebook as a whole, but by the people who are following your business page. So for every, because they are monetizing their platform.
Because when they said Mark Zuckerberg was going to charge you to be on Facebook, he is, but it's not as
he's charging you. The Cambridge Analytica thing came out, and the senators are asking Mark Zuckerberg, how do you offer this platform for free? And he's like, we run ads. And he said it kind of snarky way, right? So, that's the platform. The platform is a monetized platform in order to generate ad revenue. They're the new broadcast TV that's running ads between shows of their segment. The show segment is native things that are showing up in your feed. The advertising is now paying for Facebook in order to provide Facebook for you for free, right? So their reach, which is how many people are seeing your post, has gone down to 1 or 2%, okay? And it's not uncommon, but I'm not telling you not to post. In fact, you should be posting. You should find out the best ways to get the best content to go out there, because those statistics were telling me two things. One, I better post good stuff that's engaging, entertaining, or informative, because only 1 to 2% of the people that I have are going to see it, and I want to make sure that they're engaged by it. And engagement with the stuff that you are posting is really important, because Facebook's algorithm looks at that. They see, are people engaged with the posts that you're doing? If they are, great, I might give you a little discount on some of those ads because we know that your content is good. Is it not? Well, I might charge you a little bit more for your ads because nobody wants to see your stuff. So they take those things into account. So organic is extremely important. And that's the first thing I take from all that reach going down. If you're going to touch them, you better tell them something that they want to hear. The second thing that it tells me is you have to run Facebook ads as a small business. It's important that you do, because you are not going to be seen on Facebook without it. The 1 to 2% of your reach, if you think about how many fans follow you on Facebook, that's not a whole hell of a lot of people. If you're getting 5% engagement, which you're killing it, you're still not talking to a whole bunch of people who are already your fans. These are people who already like your brands, right? So then you start thinking about, okay, I'm a small business. I can't really afford to put a lot of money into Facebook advertising. So why is Facebook advertising not something that is just the big guys? And in fact, one of the statistics is that 80% of Facebook's revenue overall are small and medium-sized businesses. Out of the largest businesses in the world, the McDonald's, the Coca-Colas, the Dells, the Apples of the world, they only make up 20% of the revenue, because the other 6 million advertisers are small businesses and medium-sized businesses. And that just tells me that if you're not advertising on Facebook, your competition pretty much is.
What's the quantification for small and medium-sized business?
It was a revenue. I'd have to go back and get the detail. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was a revenue, overall revenue for the businesses as a whole. So it wasn't like number of people who work there or anything else like that. But out of the 20, it was like 100 and so of the top largest businesses in the world only accounted for 20% of the revenue. Yeah. So I saw a show of hands where everybody said, okay, yes, I have a Facebook page for my business. Put those hands back up if you have ever advertised on Facebook, whether you've done it now or you've done it in the past.
Are you including boosting a post in that?
Boosting a post, anytime you spent any money on Facebook to promote your business in any form or fashion, you raise your hand. Okay, now take a look around real quick. You see a lot of the hands are up, right? I want you to keep your hands up if you felt you got good results from your expenditure. Always? Good. Now look around again, right? There's 4. There was probably 4 to 5. There's probably about like 12 of y'all, right, that had it up earlier. And that's not uncommon. In fact, 62% of small businesses feel that their Facebook ads are not performing. They feel that they're failing. There's one main reason that I see over and over again that I could attribute to this. And that's the messaging does not match their targeting. So you might be like, okay, what does that mean? Your messaging doesn't match the targeting. Well, you all are familiar with the sales funnel type of model, right? Yeah. So you start off here. It might be a little hard to see with some of these small things, but this is kind of a typical sales funnel, right? You start off at the top of the funnel. You're strangers. I have no idea who you are. Then you kind of work them down. They start learning about you. They become visitors. They might check you out, might learn a little bit more information about what you're doing. And then after that, they become prospects or leads. They might give you a little bit of information. Sure, I want to hear about your email from your email list. Sure, send me some more information about the product that you're coming out with. At that point, it's your job to convert them into customers, right? And the messaging that goes along with that from each stage changes. From a stranger, you're trying to attract them and make them aware. Once they visit, then you're trying to convert them to be a believer of your product and understand what you're trying to do. One second. And then once they become a prospect, that's when you need to close them. Okay? You got a question?
Versus products versus services. Like I'm a service business.
It's still the same thing. You're a service business. You're coming to me. I have no idea who you are. You have to introduce yourself and make me aware of what your product is as a service and why I need it. At that point in time, we'll build, you'll build a conversion. And the way it'll work is, for example, what's your name?
I'm Jackie.
Jackie, nice to meet you, Jackie. I'm Adrian. You want to buy some lip gloss
No,
from me? No? Right now, I have lip gloss in my trunk. You want to buy some lip gloss from me?
Let's look at it.
You look at it. All right. Wow, that's pretty good. All right, I'll tell you what. If you promise me right now to buy some lip gloss from me, I'll give you 10% off right this second.
10% off. Cool.
Oh, wow. All right, well, that didn't go as planned. But Jackie, I like you. I'm going to sell you something else after the program. But the strange thing is, it's kind of creepy though, right? I mean, Jackie was just like, who the hell are you, and why are you trying to sell me lip gloss? You don't know who I am. Now, what if we back that up, right? What if I came to you and said, hey, Jackie, by the way, my name's Adrian. I run a local cosmetics company here based in Austin. We actually do cosmetics that are 100% cruelty-free, they're vegan, and they're all natural. And from what my clients tell me, it works and it's kick-ass. Then you're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Great. We go our separate ways, and the next time we run into each other, Jackie, this is Katie. Katie tells you a little bit more about the cosmetics that she uses that are my cosmetics. She tells you how wonderful they are, how they work, and how she feels good about herself because they're 100% all natural and she doesn't have any toxins on her face or on her lips or anything. And you're like, wow, that's pretty neat, right? All right, but you know what? You just bought a whole lot of makeup and you're like, no, I'm not buying anything else. Then the next time comes around and I meet up with you again. I'm like, hey, Jackie, how you doing? By the way, my cosmetics line, we're having a 10% off sale if you swing by the store this weekend. And oh, by the way, free champagne bar. You're like, I'm in. I'm sold.
That one wouldn't sell me.
But the point is if you look at the sales funnel, the messaging that I went through wasn't a hard sell right away. You didn't know who I was or what I was. hold on one second. I made myself aware to make sure that you knew what I was and what I do. Then I started to convert, and it might not convert on you, but it might convert on some other person in here, that it converts them to the next level of the funnel, because then I start showing some sort of credibility in there. And then once I get them down to the level where they're a lead or a prospect, then I close them, right?
I have no problem with the closing part. It's I'm a construction company. And we post and I boost and I post and I boost. And it's a female-owned business. It's a female contractor. It's, we're green. We're everything. We're going to make your house absolutely gorgeous, and we do.
But who's buying your product?
And who are you talking to? So you may be
That's
talking
where
to Tatiana, and Tatiana's like, I just bought a house. I don't need your information. I don't need any of that information. And what the awareness side does, it pushes Tatiana out of your window. Now I don't have to talk to Tatiana. Now I need to talk to Carrie. Now I'm going to talk to Carrie. Carrie's interested in buying a house right now, and she's looking to build a new house. Tatiana, it's great knowing you. Carrie, all right, let me tell you about how we're green, we're lead, we are affordable, we have tons of experience.
So you're going through all of those, is that more of a multiple ads?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if you start up with your strangers and you try to sell them a closed message, you might get a couple. Sure, you might be successful in getting a few. They're going to be the most expensive closes that you get, because you are trying to convince a room full of strangers to buy my lip gloss, and they have no idea who I am. They need to know who I am, why they should buy from me, why I'm credible, and then I could come to them, and only the ones who showed interest, right? 90% of this room may have left the door when I said lip gloss. I'm not interested in lip gloss. You might be, maybe not. But the point is that you only want to tell your sales message to the people who are going to buy, and you have to weed them out.
And how do you do that? I guess that's.
We're gonna get there. We'll get a little bit further there.
Right.
We're gonna get a little bit further there. No, we're okay.
Because I always need to know that.
We're okay. So champagne closed her. Maybe not. I don't know. Either way, the point is that you have to weed everybody out. That's the sales funnel. If you start off with 100, you might only end up with 2 leads and you close one of them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how it goes. You still have to get those 100 and weed them out. Because if you try to close 100, you might not close any of them. Because now that one that would have closed didn't get all of this information to close with. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so moving on, let's look at Facebook now.